silence and reorient ourselves to what kindness means for each of us and what it means for ourselves, for others, and the environment. And, just sit in silence for a while. Thank you. I think since we've sat in silence, we'll go straight on to some music. And we have a volunteer, as we miraculously always do. The magic of kindness never ceases to amaze me. And so, Mahashweta, would you like to come on and share with us your gift of song?
Thank you so much. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you people are in. My name is Dr. Mahashweta. I'm an educator by passion and a performer by profession. And I feel very privileged to be a part of this gathering. My song goes like this. Is my piano audible?
Yes.
People over the world, reach out your hands, touch one another. People over the world, just understand and love each other. We have one life to live, so much to give and so much to share. There is love to be found. Just look around, there's happiness there. People over the world, we are the same, just different colors. People over the world, love without shame, sisters and brothers. Face each day with a smile, and in a while sunshine appears, you feel warm deep inside. No need to hide from danger and fear. People over the world, reach out your hand, touch one another. People over the world, just understand and love each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And as Mark says on her LinkedIn post, music gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything, as quoted by Plato. And so, thank you for this starting this joyous occasion with music. I now call upon, Arvind, who's here, and Ashay. They're two people who were very, very kind enough to create a kindness jar. And this kindness jar is something that I would want each of you to dip into as soon as, because this is going live. The jar, as Arvind tells me, is going to be,
It's
open
live.
only. It's like you are part of the opening ceremony of this jar. Arvind comes from Ginger Domain, and Asha here comes from a company called Django Digital. Both companies based out of Mumbai, and as always, that's Asha there. Two kind people wanting to help do something good. So, would any of you want to say something, Asha, Arvind, before we do the unveiling ceremony, and then I have my official address?
Well, I will put
Sure. Yeah, no, I think I'll just start. It's been such an honor to be a part of this movement, and I'm really glad to be a part of so many kind people around me. And there's one thing that Nirmala Aunty always says, right? That I think the goal for all of us is to make kindness as infectious as we can. And that's what we're all set out to do, and that's exactly what we're trying to capture in this kindness jar. So I really hope you guys like it, and I really hope y'all are y'all are an integral part of this jar and share your stories, and of course read stories from other people around the world. So yeah, that's just something I want to say before we unveil the jar, and I'll let Arvind, take over from here.
So I guess Asha has said it all. Now we all excited. Nirmala ma'am, with your permission, if you say so, I can go ahead and share my screen and just showcase the jar. Hello.
I
guess
think,
she dropped.
Yeah, we just wait for her to come back.
So meanwhile, Nirmala ma'am, she comes in. So let me give you a little information about this jar. This jar currently has more than 250 stories that are already there, and it's quite open to all, open to the world to share their stories. Okay.
Arvind, shall we wait, or do you want to share your screen and carry on and then allow Nirmala to join when she gets back?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. So on the website, there is something we see, read about a kind story. Once we just click on this, it takes to a place where we could see a jar. And once I click on this, you would see a story popping out. And every time I click on this, there's a different story that will pop up. Yeah. So, okay. So now if people want to read this entire story, they can click on this link. It'll take you to the page where the entire story is listed. But there are more than 250 stories right now at the back end. Now, if someone wants to contribute, all they have to do is they have to click on share a kind story. They can fill their name, email ID, title, and they can write their own story and submit it to the jar. This story then goes to the jar, and this can inspire millions across the globe. So guys, this is what I want to display you was the jar where the concept is being designed by Ashay and this is being developed by Ginger Domain. So Alan, that's it from my end. So once people visit the site, you'll see a link there, or you can always go to jar.thekindness URL, the worldkindnessmovement.org, and this is very good to see. People can read stories on phone, on iPad, on even on desktops. So I'll stop sharing my screen. That's all I have to present.
Arvind, if possible, if you can also share the link on the chat right now, so
Yes,
that
I will.
that's good.
That's a wonderful effort. Compliments to both of you for having created it. And it looks very visually attractive. So I'm sure people are going to pour in their kindness stories into this jar.
Thank you.
Aditya, do you have any news from Nirmala?
Yeah, Nirmala has joined back. I think, Alan, you need to.
Hello. Hi, Alan. Can you hear me?
Yay!
Oh gosh, I was like, I don't know what happened. Maybe the whole energy of this event has crashed my internet. Can you see me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. We can see you, and you missed on the part of the launch event.
I know. So if you can see me, then I'm going to share my address now to all of you present, and then I'll hand it over to our speakers for this evening. Right? So is everybody can hear me clearly? I'm using my phone for now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Okay, so I would just say that friends, today is the 20th of September, and we are gathered here to celebrate 25 years since the establishment of the World Kindness Movement. The formation of WKM crystallized in Tokyo, where Dr. Wataru Mori from Japan brought together like-minded organizations from across the world. It gives me immense joy to see all of you gather to celebrate kindness. WKM founders, members, friends, volunteers, and many well-wishers from diverse walks of life. This diversity of those present fills me with hope, because when we unite in and for kindness, a kinder world is possible. Thank you for your belief in the value of kindness and joining us today. History has shown us that it is the silence of good people that keeps our world in crisis. So I ask of you to rally together and add your voice to World Kindness Movement's initiative, One Voice for Kindness, that begins today and will peak on World Kindness Day, 13 November. The kindness jar that was just unveiled today, I'd love you to use this jar, share about it, inspire, influence, and engage more people from across the world towards a kinder and better world. I will now adapt and share from awaken.org's beautiful article on love by Justin Fearman. And it says, there are those who might laugh at the idea of being kind, who would ridicule it, maybe even fight it. And I say, I have never heard of a convincing argument against being kind. And I have never dreamed of a compelling future which does not include kindness. And anyone I've ever met who has lived without it is most likely in dire need of kindness. And then there are others who say that this is high-minded idealism, and that the reality is that we could never get everyone on board. And I say that humanity has never accomplished anything of value unless high-minded idealism has been at play. And that history is filled with examples of small groups of idealistic, inspired people changing the world. I'm grateful to so many who have supported WKM. And if I start sharing the names, I'm bound to forget some, because as you know, it's a 25-year history. And further, I say that being kind is not a perfect state of being. It's a choice that you make over and over again. It's a commitment to a principle that you return to despite our inevitable deviations from it. It is a standard that one chooses to hold for all your decisions, that you measure them by. that you do your best to uphold, even in the face of great pain, that you return to it when you are lost. Kindness has three aspects: kindness to self, kindness to others, and kindness to the environment. And you will know when you have found each one by the way that it feels. Ultimately, this is humanity's problem, that we have possibly become disconnected from the feeling of compassion and acting kindly. All our other issues find their roots here. And it is thus our true need to return to this feeling and doing things that are kind. The world will do everything in its power, my friends, to convince you otherwise. It's trying very hard right now. Or depending on how you look at it, it's giving you infinitely more opportunity to embrace it at an entirely new level, a new depth. I open this gathering to the sharing of four diverse, wonderful people with different backgrounds to help us reflect on their views on kindness. And I invite our first speaker for today, who is a person who is very, very well known, and is Sophia Strill-Rever, who is actually a spiritual activist, a teacher, and an award-winning author, a public speaker, and the French biographer of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. She co-authored 4 books with him. She created the Be Love Meditations Protocol. And she is somebody who is talking about the keys to shift from individualism to altruism and to accelerate the implementation of the 230 agenda in the service of a civilization of the heart. She is the founding president of the Be Love, a transformational program of heart and mind awakening. She created the Be Love Meditations Protocol, and she is someone I'm so happy to have amidst us today. So over to you, Sophia, and do inspire us with your sharing as you've lived this value for years now. Thank you. Sophia, would you take over?
I think you'll have to unmute your.
Okay, here is, can you hear me?
Alan, would you?
Okay, sorry. And thank you, dear Nirmala and your team for your invitation. Greetings from Paris. I'm honored to celebrate with you this 25th anniversary of the World Kindness Movement with the conviction that time for kindness is now. Kindness is love in action, and I'd like to start by recalling that love isn't just a feeling, it's also a powerful force for social change, global peace, and human evolution. This is evidenced by the examples of leaders of love who fought and are fighting for human rights, social justice, and the preservation of life on our planet, with kindness as the baseline of all their actions. Love and kindness are our very nature. We were born to love and be loved. Love and kindness are the life of our life. As babies, our physical and biological growth required love. The early development of our brain cortex has been wholly dependent upon the affection we receive during our first 24 months. Oxytocin, the love hormone, contributed to the growth of our body cell. When there is insufficient love hormone, which an infant gets from care and attention, the number of cells in the heart muscle are significantly reduced. This means that a heart can grow only in the presence of another loving heart. Having been nurtured by love as much as by our mother's milk, we are biologically, emotionally, and cognitively trained to give love in return and act with kindness. According to scientists, empathy and compassion emerge early and universally in our development. Yet empathy isn't immune to cognitive biases. we are more likely to empathize with others who are like us. And in areas with extreme conflict, people don't lack empathy. They have very high empathy for their own group, but no empathy at all for the opposing group. So we see empathy may be plagued by negative emotions, such as competition, hatred, and jealousy, born from the we versus they mentality. We consist of the group with whom we identify. They refers to others considered despicable because of their different religion, country, ethnicity, social status, or worldviews. And to correct such a self-centered and self-limiting mindset, we need to deconstruct historical and collective identities to reach the core of our being. For that purpose, I created, as you mentioned, Nirmala, the Be the Love Protocol, a mindful practice of conscious love that brings to light our deepest truths. The words being and truth in India have the same root, Sat, and the ultimate truth of being, or Satya, is love. In the post-truth era, it's crucial to draw on the force of truth and love, which has proved its power as a driver for a better world. Gandhiji's non-violent struggle, for instance, is based on Satyagraha, translated by Martin Luther King as the strength to love. The seed of Satyagraha was sown by Mahatma Gandhi and has led to an independent India. And it keeps flourishing in the soul of women and men, calling an ethics of love that should prevail in all arenas of public life. Satyagraha is based on ahimsa, or non-violence, which can be understood positively as loving kindness. And Gandhiji used to declare that the supreme law is the law of both love and truth. In his introduction to the book Hind Swaraj in 1921, he highlighted love as an active driver in all aspects of social life. And 1 century later, adopting love in politics has failed. We see partisanship, polarization, and hatred prevailing. So the normative of love is banned from public discourse and restricted to the privacy of homes and hearts. And in 2022, when the vital prognosis of humanity is engaged, I observe that all emergencies in the world are but symptoms pointing to the lack of love needed to eradicate the structural causes of hunger, extreme poverty, lack of care, and the predation of resources at the root of so many disasters. Yet humanity today has the resources to feed and care for every single person. But at the individual and collective levels, we lack the willpower to implement existing solutions. If we revive the strength of love in our hearts, the energy of love multiplied 8 billion times would generate a force of soul, paving the way for happier days. In these pivotal times, in order to survive as a species, our last chance is to shift our thinking patterns from selfishness to selflessness, from individualism to loving kindness. All our lies in our regenerative interactions with one another in the service of the living. And this power of interacting and creating bond has a name. It's love. Human DNA is 98% identical to chimpanzee DNA. According to neuroscientists, the 2% difference is about the human brain's capacity to relate to others. More than learning how to use tools or moving in the forest and the grasslands, Anthropologists have found evidence that it was caring for one another with kindness that drove human cognitive developments. And the new cognitive step in the 3 billion years of life evolution that we need to take urgently now should come, according to me, from developing loving bonds as brothers and sisters in the great family of the living. But I was wondering what Mahatma Gandhi meant when he said, be the change you want to see in the world. So I was wondering, what is the change the Mahatma is calling for? And it dawned upon me that the radical change he was advocating is love. And so I adapted Gandhiji's sentence by saying, be the love you want to see in the world. For if love prevailed, present problems could be solved at all scales, from individual well-being to an economy of care and to a wise stewardship of Mother Earth. In the last book I co-authored with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, a global icon of peace, he calls for a revolution of love and compassion, unprecedented in human history. When I am asked what's the greatest quality of His Holiness the Dalai Lama in my eyes, I always reply, it's his realism. I don't know any more realistic person, actually. So the revolution of love isn't a sweet dream disconnected from reality. It's a pragmatic approach to tackle the present do or die situation. And this revolution of love is already on its way in the hearts of millions like you worldwide who are restoring the land, regenerating the ecosystems, planting trees, promoting eco-friendly initiatives, creating vast networks of volunteers, such as the World Kindness Movement. So I see the revolution of love happening here and now with this online 25th anniversary celebration of the World Kindness Movement that brings together brothers and sisters across the globe. Therefore, I'm happy to and honored and humbled to join the World Kindness Movement, as it's my life commitment to contribute to the rise of a new loving humanity on a new loving earth. Thank you all for your kind attention and a happy 25th anniversary to World Kindness Movement. Thank you.
I'm back. And thank you, Sophia. You have, written 4 books and have been closely associated with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And so it's great that you and Koa, who is here, were the youngest and the latest members to join the World Kindness Movement, which was just last week. And so a warm welcome as the newest member to the movement. Thank you. Before I give Koa an opportunity to share, I'd like to introduce Will, who was there in 1997 on that grand day when the World Kindness Movement was established. So Will, would you like to say a few words before we go on? Debbie was there earlier, so she shared a bit. You'll have to unmute yourself, Will.
All I want to say is I apologize for being late. My alarm did not go off. I'm really just stunned and happy that 25 years later, the World Kindness Movement is not just still alive, but is flourishing. It's something that we hoped for, but frankly never could really have imagined the staying power. And I just want to remember for a moment Dr. Watanabe Mori, who really was the driving force in getting this whole thing started. He originally brought me to Japan via a letter. That's how long ago this was. There was no email, there was no text. He sent me a letter saying, hey, I've heard about random acts of kindness, and we've got a small kindness movement here. Let's get together and talk. And from such small beginnings, we have what we have today. And I'm just really proud and happy to see it go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Will. And we go to our next speaker, and that is Koha Nowen. Koha, please tell me whether I'm pronouncing that correctly. And so it's really awesome to have you here from the Better We, Better World organization, and that's exactly what he represents. Yeah, Koha's initiative is to help repair a damaged world and build a better one. Thanks to families and communities who take courageous decisions and audacious actions in all countries to change the world. His motto is, we are all leaders. He keeps reminding me that every single day. I get up in the morning and I have a reminder from Koha. Thank you, Koha, for being that light behind me. He says the world's ecosystem, he initiated the SDG Champions NGO to implement again the 2030 agenda and its 17 SDGs at grassroots level and produce measurable results, and he always talks of massive impacts. In 2022, he started an alliance of NGOs to develop and deploy the Lavos Arts internationally. Koha was formerly an advertising and marketing expert in the pharmaceutical and food industries, a Zen practitioner for 45 years. He has authored 3 novels and an anthology featuring the Chinese founders of Chan Buddhism. Over to you, Koha.
Thank you. Dear friends, I want to thank our friends Nirmala and Stephen to give me the opportunity to share with you some of my deep conviction on kindness and love. We are here today because kindness is our shared ideal, value, and daily practice. Kindness is based in our fundamental goodness and our spontaneous ability of empathy and love. To be kind, to embody kindness, it's just helping others, listening to them, looking at them, encouraging them, caring for them, supporting them, giving them instance of joy and solace, not only for a fleeting moment, but repeating each time it is needed or useful. We do these kind actions with all our mind, heart, and body together. With our true and sincere kindness, immediately and without hesitation. We are kind with nice smiles and infectious laughter. We are joyful and happy to bring joy and happiness to our brothers and sisters of the big human families. With mindfulness and awareness, we welcome people who are opening their heart to us, telling them, here and now, I am present with you and for you. The most important is to better know each other. And then we can exchange about what happens today in our life. Time for kindness and love is now. Ultimately, what are you looking for in your life? What has your quest always been? The answer, accepted by the vast majority, is loved. I want to love, and I want to be loved. To be loved is always a need, often a hope, sometimes an expectation. But to be truly loved, I must know how to receive love. And I know how to receive it if I have already received it in my life. And if I love, the loved and cherished persons demands even more. They want to be respected and understood. Total love goes with total respect and total understanding. So the question comes, how to really love, how to be really loved. The answer is in the deepest and most intimate part of myself. I am capable of love because my fundamental goodness is the abundant and inexhaustible source of the strength of the heart. Thanks to it, I overflow with all the energy to take care of myself, to take care of loved one, to take care of humanity, and to take care of all living beings. And because I love, because I give proof of my love, in reciprocity, I am loved and I receive proof of love. If I love the others, it means that I admit, I recognize, I respect, and I accept their differences. He or she has their own truth, their own principles, and their own rules for following their own life path. Above all, I never impose on others my personal truth, my personal principles, and my personal rules. Contrary to the saying that love is blind, true love is clarity and lucidity. It is a wisdom that enlightens and inspires. Its source is fundamental goodness. It is like a jewel of light which shines spontaneously and naturally, just like our heart, which beats spontaneously and naturally. With this love and wisdom, I realize that humanity is one big family. We must take care of each other. We also take care of the earth, which is our common home and our only home. Let's build together for future generations a better, peaceful, and happy world where all human beings will enjoy freedom in peace and security. In this world of health, economic, financial, social, political, and humanitarian crisis, in order to survive, I must find and regain love. And it is vital and absolutely urgent to be able to love and to be able to be loved. With Be the Love and her book, The Urgency to Love, Sophia gives us the key to decode how to truly love and be truly loved. Kindness and solidarity will replace violence and egoism. To build a better world and a kinder world, we have to solve the problems and meet the challenge of humanity, whether local or global. This global project will engage NGOs and business companies of all sizes from all sectors of activities in all countries in a long marathon until 2030 and beyond. In all the endeavors for the sake of humanity and the earth, we are all equal as the same human being. And we are also all leaders because we want measurable results and massive impact. As WKM supports the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of UN 2030 Agenda, we too are focused to implement the 17 SDGs in initiatives and activities at the grassroots level. We want to bring together SDG leaders who will be in charge of taking courageous decisions and audacious actions. And specifically, first, the SDG leaders align the activities of companies with the 17 SDGs against global warming and the massive destruction of biodiversity. Second, they review business processes and models without degrading productivity or profitability. And third, they overhaul the organization and culture in 2 to 5 years. My suggestion is to co-create the Become WKM Leaders Training Program, which could be spread in all the 28 countries of WKM. This program will prepare WKM members to become stronger and more efficient in order to produce even more results and impact. And there are 3 essential messages to all WKM leaders. The first message is, you are greater than problems, greater than difficulties, and greater than obstacles. The second message is optimism versus pessimism. Self-confidence, self-esteem, agility, taste for actions, culture of success versus fears, doubts, confusion, immobility, helplessness. And the third message is the consistency between speech and action. This high added value program could become a possible training activity for work kindness movement with recurrent income and new resources for work kindness movement's actions. We, specifically Sophia and myself today. We are deeply convinced that we can together change the world for a better and a kinder one. Time for action, time for kindness is now and every day. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Kwa, for sharing and also for committing to help WKM and its leaders with training and taking this forward. And I am grateful for that commitment too. Uh, so thank you both. It means a lot that you have always spoke about action and impact, and you have made a public declaration of your commitment today.
Yes. This is my suggestion about a program for work kindness movement leaders. And I will make myself available to contribute. This will be a co-creation. So I will hand on to you everything we have already with our own SDG leaders program. So I will bring the whole to work kindness movement, but the next program, when you will decide it, is based on the identity, the mission, the goals, and the DNA of work kindness movement. So this is the identity, the singularity, and the originality of work kindness movement. They are a unique identity, and we have to highlight this, and we will build something very valuable and we can spread in all countries, and more than our 28 countries now, but kindness can be spread in all countries of the world. Really, in all countries, people are kind, people understand kindness, and above all, people can share this ideal, this value, and this daily practice.
Sure. So just to reiterate, what Kwa is saying, he's talking about kindness as being an act of courage, and he is not something that's soft. It is something that requires a lot of hard work. And he reminds us about that again, it's not about teddy bears and flowers, it's a lot more than that. And I welcome all of you, and I'm sure we can do a session with Koa some other time where he would take us through what he has planned in terms of the work. And for now, I would like to introduce and take you to our next speaker, Jenny Haas. And Jenny requires, again, a warm thank you before I start, because from the time I had this crazy idea of doing something on our 25th year, I think she's been consistently supportive. And so, Jenny, thank you for that. It means a lot. In voluntary movements, when you have other volunteers with you, life is that much easier. So I would like to acknowledge that. Jenny's topic is kindness is truly a superpower. She spent much of her career in the field of leadership and organizational development. The founder of Kindness from the Heart, Jenny believes a simple act of kindness can unleash a positive energy that ripples in ways unimagined, touching countless lives and transcending generations. Kindness is truly a superpower. Over to you, Jenny.
Hello, everyone. I am deeply honored and grateful to be with you today and to help celebrate World Kindness Movement's 25th anniversary. And I thank you, Nirmala, for this very kind invitation to share some thoughts around kindness. Helping to inspire kindness and more kindness in the world, in our communities, in our personal lives, has become a passion project for me with Kindness from the Heart. And there's so much I'd love to share with you, but of course, time is limited. And so in the interest of both time and efficiency, I've written my notes, which I will be referring to. Like many of you, I believe that kindness is a superpower. There are lots of reasons for this, but for now, I'll briefly share just a few. Kindness produces many health benefits for both body and mind. It stimulates the production of serotonin, which helps heal our wounds and puts us in a general state of happiness. Remarkably, kindness boosts serotonin not only in the giver and in the receiver, but also in those who simply witness or even hear about an act of kindness. Remarkable. Kindness produces more oxytocin, which promotes bonding and connection, stimulates trust and generosity, and boosts our immune systems. People who are perpetually kind have a 23% less level of the stress hormone cortisol in their system. They also age slower than the general population. And as someone who just celebrated a milestone birthday this year, I especially appreciate that one. Kindness is a powerful currency to trade in, and it is a universal language that can be spoken and understood by all. It changes hearts and minds, and sometimes when nothing else can. Anyone can wear the superpower cape of kindness. All it takes is intention, a little action, and love. Kindness, like its close friend gratitude, is a circular value. Kindness brings about gratitude, which begets more kindness, which gives rise to more gratitude, and it just goes on and on. Every act of kindness spreads through a 3 degrees separation. And I truly believe, as Nirmala said,
oh my gosh, it is so hard. It's that pan you have. I know, it's my mother's pan. But when I make it, it's, but it's that pan. My mother's pan. Yes. Thank you, Mama. Yeah. Well, it has 3 metal posts on it that rise above the pan this far. And I was talking to my sister in Connecticut one day on FaceTime.
You don't realize.
And I sent her a pan from Amazon and
as Nirmala had said, I truly believe that even a seemingly small act of kindness can unleash an energy that ripples in ways unimagined, touches countless lives, and transcends generations. I'd like to share with you a personal story that helped illuminate for me the power and ripple effect of kindness. And it was just a single act of kindness that started it out, as so often is the case. Several years ago, I was in the midst of a very difficult time in my life, and my world had been turned upside down. A dear friend who lives across the country from me would call on occasion to check in and to see how I was doing and to encourage me. One day, just as we were closing the conversation, Mike asked what I would be doing over the weekend for fun. I shared that Draper Visual Arts Foundation would be hosting its annual art show to showcase local artists. As a member of the foundation's board, I would be helping at the 2-day event. Through a moment of what Mike would later describe as divine inspiration, he said, I'm going to send you $100. I want you to find a piece of art that you love and buy one for you and one for me. Then we'll have some wonderful shared artwork to talk about. I knew what Mike was doing. While he was helping me to support a local artist, his main goal was to help lift me up and turn my attention outward, and it worked. When I arrived at the art show, I was drawn to a beautiful watercolor painting, and I asked the young artist across the room just how much her painting was. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, it's not for sale. I painted it for my father for Father's Day, but I do have prints for sale. And because I love to learn about the art and the artist, I asked her to tell me about it. I learned that Gwenelle was just 16 years old, and at the age of 3, she had asked her grandfather, who's a professional artist, to teach her how to paint. Her watercolor was of 2 women in Bolivia sitting outside the door. Her father, and his, see that? Her father had captured the scene in a photo during his travels and had asked Gwen to paint it for him. That evening, after considering all of the art I'd seen that day, I knew that it was the print of Gwen's that I wanted to buy for Mike and for me. And I decided to buy one for my daughter, Chelsea, to lift her up as well. The next day at the art show, I asked Gwen if she had sold any of her prints and how many she had. She shook her head sadly and looked down, and she said no, and that she had 5 for sale. So I said, okay, I want to buy 3. And her face absolutely lit up. And she said, are you serious? And when I assured her that I was, I told her about the very kind gesture of my friend Mike from North Carolina. And I asked if I could video her telling her story about the painting, and I could share that with Mike and my daughter. Gwen recorded a very sweet message, and she wrote a note for each of us to include it with our prints. Following the art show, I noticed that my spirits and sense of well-being had definitely been lifted. It was several days before I had a chance to read the note Gwen had written to me. It touched me deeply, and I'd like to share it with you now. So she'd written it on the back of this little flyer. And here's her sweet message. She said, hey, Jenny, thank you so much for supporting me. I was scared to come because I was intimidated by the great artists that were showing here. You gave me a little extra confidence, and I hope that you start to feel hopeful again. And this is what really got me. I will always remember you as the first person that ever bought any of my art. Thank you so very much, Gwenelle. And shoot you a little heart like a 16-year-old girl would do. A month later, I traveled from my home in Utah to a personal development retreat in Colorado, and I shared the story of Mike's Kind initiative and showed the photo of Gwen and her painting, and I think I shared the video too. 5 of the attendees shot up their hands and asked if they could order a print. It was such a delight for me to call Gwen to let her know that some wonderful human beings across the country loved her art and that she sold 5 more prints. Several months after that, I stopped by Gwen's home to see more of her artwork and to ask for her permission to share our story when I spoke about the impact of kindness. I met Gwen's parents, and through tears, her mother told me how much the experience had meant to her daughter, that Gwen had been struggling at the time with some health issues and some other issues. Gwen and her mom shared how being a part of my initiative to lift me up, given them such a tremendous boost, and Gwen's confidence continued to grow. I've thought many times about the powerful impact of that moment, in that moment when Mike decided to listen to inspiration and he chose to act on it. He had no idea where the act of kindness would lead and who might ultimately be touched by it. He simply wanted to lift up a friend in need. And as it turns out, the ripples continue. Mike's kind and compassionate offering brought me joy in the moment and in the days and months ahead, as I got to know Gwen and her beautiful art. Who knew that sharing Gwen's artwork would become part of my heart work? Gwen's painting is bringing joy and beauty to homes across the US where her work would have otherwise remained unknown. And we may never know the boost of what the boost of confidence did for Gwen when she was at a difficult time in her life, and how it will ultimately change her life. Perhaps if she had not sold any of her prints, she would have lost the courage and confidence to show her art. Perhaps she'll become a professional artist like her grandfather. And perhaps the experience will help one day to inform the way she parents her own children when they are having moments of self-doubt or lacking confidence. I do know that my active confidence touched and inspired the lives of many, and that ripple continues on. There's someone else who understands both the ripple and exponential effect of a seemingly small act of kindness, and it's my friend, Brad Aronson. And Brad has written this really, really wonderful book. It's called Humankind, changing the world one small act at a time. And this beautifully written book is really uplifting, it is life-affirming, and incredibly actionable. Brad shares dozens of ways that we can make the difference in someone else's life through simple words and deeds. And he shares story after story of small acts that had a big impact. Like the one about Jimmy, a young boy who was embarrassed he couldn't tie his shoes because he'd been born with only one hand. Jimmy's caring and kind third grade teacher, Mr. Clarkson, taught himself how to tie a shoe one-handed so he could quietly teach Jimmy. And that was a turning point for the boy, who came to believe that he'd always be able to find a solution for whatever problems he faced. Jim Abbott grew up to win an Olympic gold medal as part of the American baseball team. He played Major League Baseball, he pitched a no-hitter, he wrote a best-selling memoir, and touched the lives of thousands of people through his inspirational talks and volunteerism. And he continues to inspire countless children with disabilities to believe in themselves. And that was spurred from that third grade teacher and that kind act. And there's the young woman who was inspired to start Cards for Hospitalized Kids after receiving a handmade card from a kind hospital volunteer. It brightened her day during one particularly difficult hospital stay when she was a child. Jen Rubino said, "When I got the card, I felt I was not forgotten and people were thinking of me. That is what I want to do for other kids." So far, Cards for Hospitalized Kids has delivered well over 100,000 cards. Like me, Brad believes that kindness is a superpower. As he shared just last week, anyone can use kindness to change a life. You only need love. May we all put on our capes and look for ways to choose and act with our superpower that is kindness from the heart. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you, World Kindness Movement, for all that you're doing to bring about a better, happier, more beautiful, and kinder world. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny, for sharing from the heart with those real life stories. Stories always inspire because they somehow move us to do something ourselves. And I think your sharing just moved all of us in this room right now. Thank you. To all of us, I'm sure there's a lot of questions to our speakers, but after we have Alan speak, maybe we'll go into a round of questions and reflections. So a request to hold your thoughts for now. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Alan Williams. Alan's been, like Jenny, a person who has been a volunteer, I think, for over a year now. And I heard about Alan through the Values Jam that he does. And it's coming up in October. And that's the connection. That's the beauty, as many of you are just at some time a stranger and now a friend. And that's the story with Alan. Alan talks about values, and his topic is rightly called the value of kindness. Alan is an experienced professional with a passion to inspire values-driven service for sustained performance and end-to-end management of the service brand methodology. He founded Service Brand Global Limited and works on the alignment of brand identity, employee engagement, and customer experience. We look forward to Alan's conversation and sharing on his experience, especially with the frontline service sector, which he has engaged with and which actually makes so much of business sense. And so I'm happy that our speakers come from various professions and identities. And Alan, over to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Namala. And I'm just sitting here thinking this is the best birthday party I've been to. I think it's just what an amazing event, and it's just an honor to be here. So thank you for the invitation. And also, it was you that suggested the title, "The Value of Kindness," for this brief talk. And when you suggested it, immediately the double meaning jumped out for me. you know, the value of kindness. So yes, kindness is a value. And I won't be controversial, but it's probably one of the most important values, if not the most important. And today I found a quote by Aristotle, who described kindness as helpfulness towards someone in need, not in return for anything, nor for the advantage of the helper himself, but for that of the person helped, which I hadn't seen before and I think is lovely. Now, Nirmala, you talk about kindness to self, to others, and to the planet. But today I'm just going to focus on one of those, and that's kindness to others. And like you've mentioned, I had a career in the hospitality sector. So that's what I'm going to draw on as I explore this over the next few minutes. Because in the hospitality environment, it occurred to me, and actually Jenny is from a hospitality background as well, so she'll relate to this. But it occurred to me that there are many different types of kind acts that take place in good hospitality environments. And over the last couple of days, I've just developed this concept of a kindness matrix. So if you'd like to either use your imagination, or if you want to use a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper on a hand, draw an axis where the bottom axis, that's the horizontal one, and write generic on the left-hand side of that line and individual on the right-hand side of that line. And then where you've got the vertical axis, write spontaneous at the top and planned at the bottom. So you've got your two axes, your four words, and you can make 4 quadrants now. Now, to make this more real, I'm going to give you an example of each quadrant. So in the generic planned box, we used to, when guests were checking out, we used to present them with a sachet of poppy seeds, which had been taken from the hotel gardens. And on the sachet was a message from Tom, the head gardener, asking guests to remember their stay with us at the hotel. So this is an example where everybody received this on departure and it was planned. Now let's move to the generic spontaneous box. So here, our food and beverage servers in the restaurants, we briefed them to listen out, to pick up if, for instance, it was somebody's birthday or other celebration, for instance, and encourage them to make a gesture. So it could be a small cake with a candle to celebrate somebody's birthday. So here we were giving the power to those frontline people that Nirmala had mentioned to spontaneously recognize our guests and our diners. And that was done generically. Now let's move on to individual and planned. Now, Ritz-Carlton is one of my favorite hotel groups. And when you stay there and you have a fruit basket in your room, they're actually trained, the housekeeping team is trained to record which fruit you eat more of, so that the next time you stay in a Ritz-Carlton hotel, and this could be anywhere else in the world, your fruit basket will be along the lines of the fruit that you enjoy most. So that's an example where it's individually based, but really well planned. And then finally, individual spontaneous. And this is a story that I just love. It was from a bank environment where I helped to put a hotel style service delivery in place. And one day we were expecting a very important guest for a meeting with the bankers. And we had his visitor pass already printed, and the reception knew his name, and we always liked to greet a person without them having to greet themselves first whenever we could. So she was ready to do that. But what we hadn't accounted for was that this VIP guy had brought his dog with him. Now, as he approached the reception desk, the receptionist greeted him and presented his visitor pass, but then said, "And if you could lift up your dog in front of the camera, please. And what's his name?" And she produced a name badge for the dog. And this VIP went into the meeting room with the bank, as we found out later, and announced that that was the best welcome he had had anywhere in the world, ever. And the meeting was a great success. Now, those 4 different types of kindness are all at play. But that last one, I just love it because, that wasn't in a training manual. That wasn't an operating standard. That was one human being showing kindness to another. Well, in this case, a canine, actually, rather than a human being, or maybe both. And so this is how kindness, I think, is represented very, very well in the hospitality sector. And it made me wonder, I wonder what would happen if we had some form of kindness assessment at recruitment stage in not just hospitality businesses, but businesses generally. What would the world look like if we attach more importance to how kind people were in their place of work? And that leads to beyond that. So what about society generally? If we were to, perhaps you could think about this, use that matrix as a guide. How could that guide you to help you be more kind in a very practical way? So this matrix really highlights to me the power of kindness that Jenny's touched on, and she's also touched on the science of it. So if I'll bring this to a close now, kindness can be spontaneous and planned. It can be individual and generic. Jenny mentioned this specifically. Kindness can be actioned easily at just about any time with very little effort or resources. Those people in the examples that I gave, especially the last one, the banker, the impact that these actions have on people can be enormous. And yet sometimes we question whether we're going to have a positive impact. Why hesitate when you can see the reaction that a small gesture can receive? Then kindness ripples. Recipients of kindness are encouraged to pass it forward. And it has no limitations. It's not like our bank account. We can give as much kindness as we like. It can be actioned over and over again. And it's the only limiting factor is you and your choices. So the science of kindness is emerging, as Jenny mentioned, and we are understanding how powerful this thing is. It creates value again and again and again and again. Kindness is powerful stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for part of kindness that just goes beyond, which actually permeates every area of our life. And definitely those who have worked in the service sector and has seen how such an important core component of business too. But it is, if it's authentic and if it's genuine and if it's aligned to the values of the organization, it makes it that much more powerful. So, all of us have seen value statements on the walls of organization, but when they're actually lived, they are so very powerful because there's an alignment, which is what is hanging on the wall and what is practiced. So thank you for bringing those examples to life. I am sure our audience has a lot of questions or reflections and I'd like to, open the house. You can address anybody here. You want to put it in the chat, I would monitor that. Or any of you can go first so that, we'd like to hear your voice, your reflection. I seem to have a bad connection today, so I'm leaving on and off. But if something happens, Alan, would you be able to moderate, because just been, going on and off. So someone would like to start. Um, any reflection to any of our speakers, or just to kindness, something that you want to put out there, you want to share with us? Rebecca?
Hi. Can you hear
In
me?
fact, Rebecca, yeah, we can. Rebecca and I have a story of having met in an airport.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And that's just the story I was willing to share, that we met in a crazy place, which is an airport. And it was just a simple, very basic act of kindness that creates the fact that I'm here today. And it's absolutely magical. We have kept the relationship. And to me, where are you? I've lost you. You were going to from frozen to disappeared. Yamala. You're somewhere. So we met in an airport. It was oh, here you are. You were looking for a place. You were on your way for the World Kindness Movement in France somewhere. I was a little bit tired. Normally, I leave the airport very quickly. And that day, I don't know why, but afterwards, I understood why. I just wanted to have a coffee. And we met, and that was it. And I just want, and I'm really so grateful for life, for kindness, to you. And I just wanted to add something, is that to me, kindness is a safe place. And that is something much needed nowadays. 1 week ago, I was in a very luxurious hotel for the viewing of a film on the way animals are used in fashion. So it could have been a very difficult time, but in fact, it was a very kind moment. And it was a weird, as the airport, it was the circumstances were really weird, but a very kind and very impactful and powerful vibe was created in a very smooth and genuine way that made us interact very naturally. And I'm sure something is going to, something very, very powerful is going to be created, because that moment was genuine and made of kindness towards animals, but between us, it was just human kindness. So it no matter the species, it's global. Yeah. And to me, it's a safe place. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Sharing. Thank you. In fact, as I look at the screen, I see Alan and Peter here, and it was one day that Alan connected me to Peter out of the blue. And here I have Peter supporting me in growing trees, fruit trees in India. Just one email. So, Peter, would you like to say something about your kindness and the environment?
Yeah, thank you, Nirmala. Thank you for the invitation. It's been really, really rich listening to all of the sharings and reflections and understanding of what kindness is. Yes, like Nirmala said, we have been paired up by Alan, and that was also as a coincidence in a way, because Alan and we took part in a competition. And I think it was Alan who reached out. He said, hey, let's connect after the event. Because I know someone that you may be interested to know also, and hence the invitation to Nirmala. So yes, we support tree planting. For us, it's also kind of kindness, because we understand the interconnection between the outside world and the inner world in which we live in. If we live in a beautiful place with trees around, we feel better about ourselves. We feel better about the people that surround us, the world in general. It's also scientifically proven. Today has been very scientific. I'm not going to quote any research. There's plenty, and so an act of planting tree is an act of kindness, and it can have infinite number of ripple effects. Now every person that passes that place where the tree grows is very subtly but significantly impacted, and who knows what the infinite number of ripples can create. So thank you, Nirmala, for your work, and yeah, glad to be here today.
Thank you, Peter. Would someone else like to share? Sumitra, I see you. What do you have?
Yeah, sure. It's an honor to be part of such an amazing, inspiring group of world kindness leaders. Thank you so much, Nirmala, for inviting me. I really don't know what to share, but I can just share a small story of kindness where my family runs a small foundation up in the Himalayas, where accessibility and road conditions are a real issue for the people living there. And we had a chance to initiate a mobile hospital, which runs in more than 35 villages, where we offer primary health care. And we realized that a few years ago that it takes more than a day sometimes for the villagers to reach a doctor, because there's no form of transport for them in the villages. And so there's a doctor on board who goes and attends to them, and we are seeing the difference in their daily lives. So we just feel very honored to be part and very privileged to be part of that healthcare facility in the Himalayas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sumitra. Even meeting you was a coincidence where Karen Ross connected us. And so I keep thinking of connections as being very kind, because without thinking, we just write an email and we connect people, but we really don't know the kindness that is so impactful. And I've learned to do that from people like you who do that so naturally every single day. So thank you to all the connectors. I also see Karina here. Karina, would you like to say something? Karina has been awesome help. They've been collaborators to the World Kindness Movement. She represents UNESCO, Mahatma Gandhi Institute, and we collected over 1 million stories. Karina was driving that. Karina, are you here? And would be awesome to hear your words on the Kindness Matters global campaign that UNESCO is running. Karina? Maybe will come back later. Is somebody else would like to share? Yes. Shameen, I know, Ezekiel, Ken Mason, there's so many of you.
I'm happy to say something. I just feel very, very honored to be here. Thank you, Jenny, for inviting me to come. And I don't have words. Actually, I found myself from the start very tearful as I listened to what each speaker said, starting with Sophia and all the way through all four of you. And I feel I'm in the presence of greatness, and I feel very early in the journey that you are all in. There are things that have happened along the way in my life, and things that have come through that all point to the same theme as you, that heart matters, we must be loved together. And so I just feel very inspired, very grateful, and thank you so much for the invitation and this beautiful gathering. And I hope to get to know some of you as the weeks and months go by.
Thank you, Shameen, for being here. Each of you here make such a difference. You have no idea. And thank you for your presence. Jeff or Ken, would you like to share something? It's just hearing diverse voices keeps us wanting to go on.
Thank you, Nirmala. I've joined the meeting late. Unfortunately, I was held up with a customer. This is a new thing for me. Well, kindness isn't new for me, but this community is. And I was very grateful to Jenny Haas for inviting me today. I've known Jenny for probably, I don't know, a year or 14 months through Jane Adshead Grant's listening community, and also Kevin Monroe's gratitude community. And the common theme to both those communities is kindness. And I've learned so much over the last 12 months, not only about other people and the importance of kindness and gratitude and joy, but I've learned so much about myself as well. And I feel as though I'm still on this journey, but since interacting with some wonderful people all around the world, I've had a commitment to try and do more in my day-to-day life for other people. Sometimes there's time to do that, other times there isn't. But I've made a concerted effort to try and do what I can, even if it's in a very small way, in the sort of service for other people. So one of the examples I'll just quickly share with you. Last year, there was an individual that I'd met on LinkedIn who was from the engineering community that I recruit for. And this individual wasn't known to me, but he put a post on LinkedIn that he was really, really missing his dad who'd recently died. And this was a grown man, he was, in his sort of mid to late 50s. And he was really struggling to come to terms with the loss of his father, because they'd always spoken at 7 p.m. Every week on a Tuesday, I think it was. And I just felt compelled to reach out to this person, because I could see that he was, really struggling. There was just a void in his life at 7 p.m. So what I did over a period of, I think about 2 months, we had a fortnightly conversation. It might have been a little bit more than 2 months, but we had a number of conversations, and I rang him or had a Zoom call with him at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday, and just talked about life. And, it wasn't about work, or, it wasn't always about his loss. We just got to know each other, and I just wanted to be there for him. because I'd sort of been through the bereavement of my own mum about 5 years ago, and yeah, it just sort of struck a chord with me, and I was just left with this feeling of that I'd done something really good and righteous and kind for another human being, and it just fulfilled me. You know, it filled up my heart with the feeling that, you know, we can all do so much more for another person. We can't be everything to everybody, but on occasion we can do something so small but that can make a huge difference. So yeah, you know, it's a journey that I'm on, and one that I'm committed to doing more acts of kindness where I can. Randomly, it is one of my favorite ways of doing it as well. Things that are structured sometimes don't have the same impact. I love just doing these unexpected things. So yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to share that with you, and I look forward to learning from more of you over the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for your sharing. I mean, just one human being, a stranger, you know, responding to another stranger, and life is so much better for everybody. Thank you. I have Lasse here. Lasse, you run something in Denmark, and I've been watching your Instagram post and how you inspire people. Would you like to say something?
Sure, I can say something. I think kindness is just really great, and it's a great way to meet other people. I think when I started out, I didn't have any idea on how it would go or what I was going to do. I just kind of leaped out into it without, not knowing any of you at that point. And then somehow I talked to Orly from Life West Inside. And I actually think I make these small videos, and when she used one of my videos on her blog, that was when I decided, okay, I'm going to share this with more people. And then I met Kevin Ross, and she introduced me to you, Nirmala. And now I just enjoy making these videos. And the thing about kindness is the more you kind of act kindly, you meet more kind people. I do these small videos, and it's usually me performing a kind act. And not long ago, a woman named Linda from Australia, Melbourne, saw one of my videos and sent me these key rings. And that is just a lovely creation from a kind person. And I actually think that says it all in that act. When you meet kind people, more kind acts will flourish, and will just make you smile. So I think that's all for me. So, but I'm happy to meet you all, and it's very inspiring.
Lasse, maybe someone's asked for your Instagram handle, so maybe you can put that in the chat, so people can come and be inspired by your little videos. I have Dr. Farhana has her hands up. Dr. Farhana from Choman, would you want to say
Good morning,
something?
ma'am. I am from Bangladesh. I am Dr. Farhana. I'm a Rotarian and also the Chief Strategic Executive from Shanman Foundation in Bangladesh. Shanman is a Bengali word which means honoring others, and I'm a Rotarian. I am so overwhelmed that I have been working for 21 years in this Rotary movement, and that is purely kindness. So today I have been introduced to your forum by Dr. Rubal Murshid and Kane Mason. I'm so overwhelmed that there's so many kind people, and as the last speaker said, that kindness brings kindness together. So I have come to meet you today, and I am a cardiologist by profession, but through my philanthropy, I have planted. In Rotary, there are 1.4 million people. In Bangladesh, we have taken this pledge that for each and every person all over the world, we will plant 1.4 million plants in Bangladesh. So it is a vulnerable state, and so I'm planting in different educational institutions fruit plants so that every student can get some fruits. This is I did not think it is kindness, but when Peter, I think he said about plant kindness, it struck me that this has come to me. I do that with my friends and with my Rotary and everyone in the rainy season. But considering his view, it is kindness. So and another thing that I do, I work for, I am the country executive director for Leonard Cheshire Disability Bangladesh. It is for the disabled people. There are 15%. Our state is has a population of 16.5 million people. So 15% of my state is 2.5 million people are disabled. I feel so, I don't know why, but I go and work for them. I go to slums and I try to do a overwhelming and rehabilitation thing for them. So that includes education, and I have established 4 schools for preschools for slum children. I go and collect children from the slums who are forced to go into begging and all that. So I go to the slums. I have set up an organogram and an organization, and I collect these children, and then I put them in our preschool. After adaptation with us, we send them to primary schools. And these people, I have been running a school for 30 years and 3 others for 10 years. So, you know, when my students go to universities and colleges and they have this overwhelming happiness when I meet them, it makes me so happy. I don't know if it's kindness or not, but I feel happy for that. And even when I go and collect, rich foods after weddings and different occasions, I ask them that if they have leftovers, I collect this food and give it to the slum people. So this also makes me very happy at 11 o'clock in the night after we have our weddings in the night time in Bangladesh. So after everyone is gone at 11 o'clock, 11:30, I go and collect them and go and give, I have people, and then we send them to different roads or slums. And you know, when I see these people getting this food from the rich people who has no idea where I'm giving it to them. So this seems so nice to me. So, you know, I never thought these were acts of kindness, but when I came and met so many people, you are all here, and this is called, so this is so nice that I have come and got connected with you, you know, these karmic things and spiritual realm and all that. So this is something that has connected to us. And Nirmala ma'am, I'm so happy that I have come and joined this forum. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inspiring us and sharing your acts of kindness. It might inspire one of us to copy. It's always.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I have another point to say. May I say something? You know, this is my mom. She's 81 years and she has Alzheimer's. So we have been having Alzheimer's for 10 years. So the thing is, tomorrow, this is Alzheimer's month. September is Alzheimer's month, and 21st of September is the Alzheimer's Day. And I feel so much kindness for old people, and just not because my mom has Alzheimer's stage 6+, and there are 7 stages of Alzheimer's. So I would be requesting a thing from you that, you know, when we give kindness to our old parents or anyone older and even with dementia. So I would say that if we could get that thing from your forum, ma'am, because I feel for her. And, you know, I have lost everything in my mom, who had made me a doctor, but the love that she still remembers, love is not a thing that we remember. I think it's a feeling that's inside her heart, because when it's evening time, she goes around looking for her small children, 2 children. We are 2 brothers and sisters. So in the evening, she goes out looking for her small children. So that is the love she feels for us. She has forgotten who we are. But then I think this love, that I say that this love never goes away with dementia, because it's a feeling, it's not a memory. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I have taken so much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what is coming out is an outpouring from the heart. And I think each of us here cannot not be touched because all of us respond to kindness, and all of us, feel in different areas. And I am so touched today with this outpouring. Thank you. Would someone like to share something else? Or we could, oh yes, Debbie, I see your hand up.
Well, having been present to the World Kindness Movement for 25 years, I just want to thank each and every one of you. Couldn't you feel your heart filling up when each person spoke and shared their passion? And, little did we know when we first met and everything was being done by fax and telephone and letter, that 25 years later, we would have these incredible media platform opportunities where we can meet in our own homes and offices and connect in this unlimited way. I think, Ellen, you were speaking about really this is all limitless now. And, when we hear the stories, when we hear the passion, when we hear what works, I mean, this is truly, these are all the human beings on this planet who are trying to make a difference. I found an incredible card to mark our occasion, Nirmala. And it says, somewhere inside all of us is the power to change the world. You inspire me. And you are all inspirations. I feel like a proud grandmother, having had the opportunity to be there 25 years ago, but you are carrying on the work, and just really appreciated seeing our new kindness jar. I just love the graphics. I know it's going to be so simple and easy, and hopefully our schools in particular will jump on board with that. I loved everything that Sophie, Co, Jenny, and Ellen reminded us of, and especially excited about the kindness matrix. It's such a cool way to think about kindness, in a little bit of a more organized way. And, I think, Ellen, too, you were talking about imagine what the world would look like if we were taking different approaches to so many things. So I just want to thank each of you, and I see the light shining in all of your eyes. And I know with Nirmala at the helm of the ship and her team, we're going to go so much further, and I think at a much faster pace than we have been able to in the early part of the 25 years. So thank you, each of you. I am leaving with my heart so full, my head so inspired with new ideas, but most of all, at a time in history when we need positivity and connection even more, that the WKM is still here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for all you've done and for being on the founding team. And it's inspiring to have you today. I'm so grateful. It's early morning and you're part of the world, and you've jumped out of bed, you and Will, to join us, and I'm immensely grateful to you. We also have Stephen O'Kay, who is the Secretary General of the World Kindness Movement, who's been patiently here. Stephen, over to you. Would you like to say something? You've been with the movement for a while as well. Stephen, you have to unmute. Stephen, you'll have to unmute. Yes.
Thank you, Nimara. I want to appreciate the founding members of the World Kindness Movement. And thankfully, we have two of our founders in the room. We have with Leonard from the United States of America, and we have Debbie Rope from Canada. also in the room. And some time ago, they shared with us what were their feelings when the declaration for the World Kindness Movement was signed about 25 years ago, exactly 25 years ago. And we learned a great deal. And I want to say that for quite some time now, we've been part of the movement. And one of the founder of World Kindness Movement, who happens to be the pioneer member of the World Kindness Nigeria, and by extension, that is a Pan-African Reconciliation Center. That is Dr. Adenekron. He brought us into the World Kindness Movement. And we've never had any iota of regret since we became part of the movement. And part of the quest is to ensure that we create a kinder world, and by extension, also in Africa. And since we joined the movement, the World Kindness Movement in Africa has grown. We have South Africa as part of the members, and we have the World Kindness South Africa. We also have in Liberia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe. And we've initiated moves to ensure that we have members from the Francophone. And with the help of the Sandine Devliger of France, we've been able to penetrate 1 or 2 countries, but their membership is still pending with us. And we want to also appreciate the speakers. They've really done a great deal, espousing much about what kindness is about, not just about yourself, also about the environment that you are in, and about those around you. How do they feel? And what do you feel when you show acts of kindness? And these are part of the things that we have learned today. And we also learned a great deal from the kindness stories from Mr. Alan Williams and others, those in hospitality, and amongst others, even the lady that met Nemala at the airport. The connection is all about kindness, and there is nothing more other than that. And we know that there is no way we can remove kindness out of the equilibrium. If we want a better world, then we must sow kindness. And if we sow kindness, we'll definitely reach kindness. And that is what it's about. And I want to sincerely appreciate the president of World Kindness Movement. She has been a wonderful. And she has been
Stephen? Stephen, are you there?
Yes, I'm with you.
We didn't
Yes.
hear.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Stephen.
Hello?
Sorry, as you say, before I kind of go off again, a warm thank you to everybody. I was actually going to ask Karina whether she'd like to say the last words, but I don't know whether she's here. And Stephen, we lost you as well. Would you like to end? And I
Yes, I'm
thank
back.
Yeah, you're back. That's the world we are in. Nigeria, India. Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I want to sincerely thank everyone that has taken their time to attend this online meeting and to share and to have one voice for kindness. And I know that if every one of us in this room can come together to ensure that we will create a kinder world, then the world will be a better place. And another thing that we are also working towards is to ensure that the November 13 that has been nationalized as the World Kindness Day becomes a recognized date by the United Nations. So we are working towards that. And we also crave the indulgence of everyone here to also lend their voice that we should have November 13 as a World Kindness Day, not just for the recognition, but as a day that will be celebrated. And it will be a day for holiday on issue of kindness. And I know that if we do that, the world will definitely be a better place for every one of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'll end with a response. Thank you, Stephen, from Karina. She cannot speak or come on camera, so she sent me a message, and I'll end with her note. She says, sorry, I can't speak, but it was very nice to listen to the speakers and the shared testimonials. It makes me very happy and proud to see how kindness has brought people from all over the world together with the same purpose, a simple yet powerful purpose. Kindness has changed my life in so many ways, and I see that it has changed yours too. Congratulations and keep up the wonderful work. Thank you all, especially the team at WKM, for all you do. And that's from UNESCO, who has been a great support to the World Kindness Movement in the last 2 years. So that's it. And, officially we end, but this is family, and family sometimes lingers after a party. And so, Alan, maybe you would want to put off the live now, the Facebook live, so we can just.
Before then, Nemala.
Yeah. Yes.
Nemala, before then, just a reminder. This year's General Assembly will be online. And we'll be having 2 sessions, one for the members and the other session for observers. And the sessions for observer will wish everyone in this room to be part of it and to also contribute their quotas towards the General Assembly in the observing status. That will be on the 3rd of December. So let us keep that date cleared so that every one of us will also engage ourselves in a similar act, just as we have done today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A reminder again, do go to the World Kindness Movement website, check out the kindness jar, pick a story, be inspired, share one voice for kindness, because the World Kindness Movement is just a platform to bring everybody together, right? We're creating that platform where we just want all of us to roar. We don't know where this voice would reach. And we say, we want kindness, right? So, share, dip in. If you know people who have a lot of followers, connect them to us so that their voice somehow reaches more numbers. And so that's where, either from the corporate world or from the world of music, acting, they have so many followers, right? So would be very kind if you connected us to those kind of people too, because every voice matters. And I'm excited to see the jar getting all overwhelmed, and wish we have another party on the 13th of November and celebrate what the jar has done. It's just a representation. There are some stories from UNESCO also in which are very powerful. which are links that go back to the original page of where the story is. If you have stories and you want to send me links, send it to me. I'll have it put in the jar, because the World Kindness Movement's mission is to inspire, to influence, and to engage. And so I am overwhelmed with you being here, and really thank you. And now over to you, Alan, Jenny, anyone, Catherine, Kevin. There was Kevin from Gratitude, Kevin Monroe. Jenny, please say a warm thank you to him for being here. And I absolutely see gratitude and kindness as being besties, as Alan calls it, right? Because when you have a grateful heart, you tend to want to be kind. And there's so many things that are connected, they're all like one family of words. Love, compassion, kindness, gratitude, they're just all in the same family.
Nirmala, can I just share quickly too? You were speaking earlier about the power of connecting people. And it is incredible in thinking about, connecting with Kevin and Ellen, who connected me to you. And just, it is one of those pieces where it's such a small, seemingly simple thing to do. But if we just think about who might we connect with each other, and we can then just step back and watch magic unfold. It just is an exponential power of a simple act. And it really is going to take all of us together to make this change. And I just want to underscore one more time my appreciation for this organization, for all that you have done over the years, for helping to bring World Kindness Day into play. And I am just full and completely in. So thank you.
Everybody matters, and you've been a volunteer, and we call upon all of you to volunteer. Just ping me and say I want to volunteer. There's enough for all of us to do, and as Koa says, there's a lot of hard work waiting to make the world kinder. I'm so excited because I'm going to meet you. Koa is coming down to India, so again, somebody I didn't know 3 months ago, and I'm going to actually meet him. You're on mute, Koa.
Nirmala and Sophia and me will be 1 week together. And so we will have time to talk together about the World Kindness Movement, because kindness is everywhere and anywhere, anytime, kindness. This is why I call kindness is a daily practice.
Right. Yep. And there's a lot of research that's on meditation and, looking at meditation and the neural circuits. And so all of you interested, I think that's some scientific proof that's there. And that's how many schools across the world use meditation as a daily practice. There's also music, and the vibes of music is also well researched, and the energy that it gives. And I call it the K vibe now, about how we connect, and we, as Jenny says, there's the vibration of people who connect and feel they have some commonality and they're nice, they're good to each other and help each other. And that's another vibration and things like LinkedIn and, these kind of channels have made it so easier for us from across the world to connect. And it's about utilizing technology for good. It's ultimately, it's great. And I think, Alan, there's so much that we can do to make kindness a value to be lived. And kindness a truly superpower. And as Koa says, a better world. And as Sophia says, the revolution or the evolution of, love.
Yeah.
And everything, so many people seeing it. So I just think we'll soon reach a tipping point. I'm hopeful when we'll have many, many more come together, and where kindness will be cool, and it would be the voice of the kind people will be heard, not of the bully. We need to somehow get that voice going and get the media and get everyone to realize it's cool, and so we need to talk more about it. And otherwise we keep blaming one another that this is the public want unkindness, or does the media. So who knows, when you have enough of people, then the language will change all around, I'm sure. Sorry, Ko, I said it's a good party because even the after party, people
Yes.
are still saying, go ahead.
Yes, I just remind each of us that we, the people of World Kindness Movement, we have two things in our life, and two marvelous things. We can have light of joy in the eyes of people with whom we are kind. We can see the light of joy in their eyes. And the second is their smile of joy. Because we are looking at them, we are listening to them. And that's enough to look at people and to listen at people is enough to bring light of joy in their eyes and a bright and joyful smile. So we can live with this every day, many times in the day of each day. And this is our power. But we do that. This is our rewards also, because we are beneficiaries of the joy people give back to us.
So true. It's receiving and giving and observing kindness is so powerful. I mean, I've just been an observer and felt electrified when I see some other people being kind too. So yeah, it's a power that is underestimated somehow, I think. Alan, you have any words? Just being around today?
Yeah, I was just thinking, listening to the conversation there, if we ask ourselves the question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how kind am I every day? And if we're honest, maybe the answer is a 6 or a 7. And after hearing what people have said today, I think everybody would be convinced that kindness is a good thing. So just imagine if everybody could just turn up their volume by 1 or 2, and instead of a 6, it's a 7 or maybe an 8. And if that happened all over the world, what a difference it would make.
Hi, Nirumala.
Yes.
This is Kevin from Melbourne. You must be doing something good to keep me up this late or this early.
Oh God, Kevin, what is it, 2 a.m.?
Absolutely. I've been online all this time. Hello to everyone else as well. And firstly, a very big thank you to you, to Nirumala, and also to Stephen, mostly to Nirumala for keeping this movement alive since Lugano, when we first met, Nirumala, and it was almost on its knees soon after, and you have what was it, resuscitated, is it the word, and brought back life into it, I think. And thank you very much for that. I've been on the borderline. I'm going to take a few minutes at this stage, because there is hardly anyone there, and I'm a very big fan of an after party, always there until the end, as you know. So firstly, thank you to you both, Stephen and Nirmala, for keeping the movement alive. And I think Stephen as equal has been a big anchor, if to say the least, for Nirmala, and you both have done an excellent job since then, and going through all the hardship and the storm, very big storm at that. Thank you to the 4 speakers as well. Then I don't think they're online anymore, except for Alan and maybe Koa. I'm not turning on my video because I'm in my sleep clothes and I look horrible, so that's why I could do that, but I would be totally embarrassed when we meet the next time. You had a lovely a bunch of people, Nirmala, and congratulations, well done. Koa, you have the light of eyes actually in your own eyes. Your face spells kindness overall, really. And to Alan, I like your, I think I like the matrix. I'm not a big fan of the planned and in a generic one. I'm a little bit of a bigger fan of the spontaneous one. I like the spontaneity rather than planned. It makes, to me, from coming from a personal angle, I like that coming from your heart instead of a planned, and it's a little bit more, I don't know the word for it, Alan. I'm trying to be as nice as I can in trying to find the right word. You know what I mean?
Heartfelt, maybe, Kevin.
Yeah, heartfelt is the word. Yeah, when it's planned, it becomes a little bit more plasticky, and that's, I'm not a big fan of plastic. Anyway, thank you again. I just wanted to have my say. I've waited patiently here and heard you all falling asleep at times, but it is great, and we look forward to the future with all of you. New blood, huh? Yeah, Nirmala, very well done. Thank you.
Thank you for staying up early morning in Australia, Sydney, and I want you to meet Koa and Alan and everybody, because he has great ideas that I can't wrap my brain around. So I need you, Kevin, as this
Sure.
superstar businessman.
And one more point I wanted to, which I failed to make, is that there was a conversation I saw on the chat saying, why don't we hook up on LinkedIn? I think that's a good thing, Nirmala, for the group here, about 50 or 60 of them, I think, at least, to hook up, bringing in cohesion and similarities, etc. I think it'll be a good thing. And then from there, it can further expand, and you can invite more and grow and rah.
Every idea is welcome, Kevin. You got to jump on board now. I'm going to drag you by your ears.
A long way off, but it's okay. We'll give it a go.
Maybe when you come to Sri Lanka, we'll be closer.
Absolutely. Okay, all, I'm gonna hit the sack now. Thank you, ladies. Jenny as well. Thank you so very much for your inspiration, words and talks and all that. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you. So Alan, since Koa has this whole plan, I think we need to have a separate meeting with him, because he has this whole training for the SDGs, which is like a 9-day module, which is very in-depth, and he really wants the World Kindness Movement to benefit from the immense work that he's done for business leaders.
It sounds fantastic.
I think we need to look at that and, actually see how to roll it out. And it's a great offer and a very kind offer by him to gift it to the World Kindness Movement. And
Nirmala, for sure, we will have workshop together. it is not the point. But today, we remember Dr. Martin Luther King's speech. He said, I have a dream. I have a dream. And it's important that we, the people of World Kindness Movement, we meet together because we have a dream. So suppose that Dr. Martin Luther King say, I have an action plan. We don't remember his speech. We only remember his speech because he has the dream, and this speech brings together 200,000 people in the capital. This is I have a dream speech. So we too, when we make gathering, we make meetings, we gather together for a dream of kindness in everywhere in the world. We cannot say, World Kindness Movement, we have an action plan. We will do, for sure we will do. But workshop is for the back office, for the offices, but when we are together, our hearts are together. And so we need to share the same dream of kindness.
Sure. Yeah, I hear you, Kwa. You've got to be passionate about it, and you should want it very much from your heart. And and that's the reason why it matters when you have passionate people together. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Yes, thank you.
So we are very happy to be the new members of World Kindness Movement. As member, we are 1 week old.
Yeah. No, we will, I'm sure. And the more members we have, the more energy would come in, as I said.
Sure.
We've had 12 members in the recent past joining, and I'm sure
Yes.
together, if everyone refers people, we can have more hands on the deck and more hearts and more minds. And so it's the hand and the head and the heart, as you said, which is important.
So let's say that we will be 100 very soon.
Yes, that's the target.
Oh, that is really cool.
That is possible if everybody puts their heart and mind to it. Yes, it's not impossible at all. Yeah, so I think, some of you, the after party is still going on. Jenny needs coffee. It's early morning that she's woken up to be with us. And and that's the thing, which it's all different parts of the world. I think Australia has got the worst of it because it's really early morning there now, 2 a.m. in Sydney. Yeah. But we will meet again, and I think it's time to have more such parties. Since it's a successful
For sure.
party, you've got to have
Absolutely.
more. And
For sure.
we could even have a monthly party for those who are free and available, and have different people talk on different topics and just energize everybody to shorter parties, but having different views. And yes, if people agree, that's something that can be done. Connections can be made, and people can inspire one another and set off. Once you connect to people, you leave them to their own devices, and magic, it just happens, right? You don't have to follow them. They just make magic. So yes, Jenny, you mentioned that as well. And today I saw so many people, of course, Rebecca is right here, who have made connections and reached out, whether it's over coffee at an airport or whether it's just, and Dr. Murshid is writes in the papers, and he keeps publishing stuff because he's a researcher. And the good part is we all come from different backgrounds, right? Rebecca is from the textile industry, and that's how she talks about kindness in fashion, which she sees as a very core challenge And the first time, Rebecca, I heard about this was when I was sitting in a school, and there was a speaker who bought, I think, 5,000 bottles of plastic, empty bottles, and dumped it on the stage. And we had 16-year-olds in the audience, and they were wondering why he had these so much of plastic. And he said that's what it takes to make one pair of jeans. That much water is used. And so he says you just throw out your clothes without thinking, but the amount of water, but that never left me. That the water consumption in creating clothing and the effluent and everything else. So what someone shares and is huge. And yeah. So thank you, Rebecca, for you want to say
And-
something?
Yeah, just to add on fashion and luxury, all the human impacts and being a vegan in that surrounding is something, but that's kindness, right? Being a vegan and not wanting to harm any human being, not harming the soils, not consuming the water that is needed where it is needed, and of course, respecting animals and all living species. And that's it.
Yeah, it's difficult to live that value, and you've been doing that for
Nirmala,
Yes, doctor.
Please make me something clear that sometimes when you utter my name, I raise my hand to show that because in my caption it comes Shamman. Shamman is my organization's name, and as I say the meaning. So maybe when you say Dr. Murshid, they won't realize who is Dr. Murshid. There is no Dr. Murshid there.
So
it's
next
Shamman.
time,
I'm going to change it. Dr.
Next time you have to say Dr. Murshid and Shoman.
Okay.
Dr.
Okay. I'm going to
Murshid
do that.
Shoman.
Yeah. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for staying up late too. It's late in your part of the world, and I leave everybody again with a lot of gratitude for all you do, and stay in touch, share the kindness jar, and let's celebrate the overwhelming jar very soon. Jenny, any last words?
Just deep felt gratitude. Thank you all for all you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Alan, for the Zoom. I don't know what all I keep borrowing from how many people, but I've realized never to be shy of asking.
And
Thank you, Alan.
a big cheer for our teacher for the behind the scenes work without which we would not be here.
Yeah, Aditya, and yes, we'll go and I'll check that out on Facebook because we are recording it live. And so we can share it with other people once we download the video, and it can be shared. So that's why we put it, and Alan was very kind to come earlier, and we had to do a lot of jugglery to get this going. And that's the thing with kindness, right? Everybody's got to juggle around.